Alright. So, before I get to the Ahsoka review, this is episode 7, some good news. Partial good news, anyway. The writer's strike is officially over, so that's great. And because of that, if there is a Ahsoka season 2, which I'm hearing rumors there will be, they can continue writing it. And so all the other Star Wars shows that were put on hold because the scripts weren't done, at least that part of the process can continue. And hopefully the SAG strikes will be quickly behind the writers, and then all of Hollywood can get back to work. So, with that out of the way, let's start with Ahsoka episode 7. So, it starts with Hera being on trial, being potentially court-martialed for the events of the last episode where she helped Ahsoka out. I'm surprised that Carson Teva wasn't a part of it, that he was just there, but it's not like he was a part of it. That it wasn't just that they were both in trouble. Maybe because he isn't an officer, but it's like, well, he kind of helped her, so. But anyway, so Senator Dickhead, yes, I know he has a name, and I do remember the name. He doesn't deserve to be called by a name. All he deserves is to be called Senator Dickhead. Now, Mon Mothma is supposed to be the Chancellor of the New Republic, and there are all these other council members there, but it's just Senator Dickhead who's talking, and occasionally Mon Mothma, which I just thought, what the hell? I get that you want to make this democratic, but there was literally just one senator talking. So, how is that democratic exactly? But anyway, so he doesn't want to believe Hera's story about star maps and star whales. And I'm like, okay, the chick that you sent to Collector freaking saw the Burgles. Why is she not there to say, yeah, actually that's true, I saw them? He's like, can anyone corroborate that story? Yes, Carson is right there. He can corroborate. The woman who was the captain who was in charge of bringing Hera in saw the frickin' Purgles. I do not know what corroborating evidence this douchebag needs. But anyway, as he is going off, and Hera has sass. He was like, you were just doing this for your own personal gains. I have no idea what freaking person. Oh yeah, Ezra. I'm sorry, did she go with them in the hyperring? No, she did not. So I failed to see how this is helping her, because she has zero idea what has happened to Sabine or Ahsoka. But, like I said, this guy is a serious dick. I could think of a few Republicans he reminds me of, but anyway. So, he's going on, and that this was an unauthorized mission, and I just loved her. He's like, you went against the New Republic. You ignored New Republic protocols. She's like, no, I didn't ignore the New Republic. I just ignored you. So, then C-3PO comes in, and initially they weren't going to let him in. such is the luck of C-3PO. Nobody gives him any respect. But, so Mon Mothma recognizes 3PO and invites him in. And now the Senator Dickhead, has a problem with droids. He's like, oh, well, do we really know that this came from Senator Leia? Because, it's a droid. Droids aren't trustworthy. So Chopper gets upset. I'm sure he was swearing up a storm in droid, which can't blame the guy. How has this senator not been assassinated yet? Is my question. He is a total dick. I'm sure if he's a dick here, I'm sure he's not any better on his home planet. I'm sure he's the type of guy who thinks he deserves certain to be treated a certain way because he's a senator. I'm sure he's just as insufferable to his own people. How is he a senator? I do not understand. But then again, there's quite a few senators in our world that I seriously question how the hell they are still senators. But anyway, that's probably the point. So, Leia claims that, she authorized the mission, and so again, she comes through. So Mon Mothma then approaches Hera and she goes, I know that Leia didn't authorize this mission. She goes, she did, eventually. She didn't even pretend to lie to Mon Mothma. She was like, I'm not going to even try to lie to you. You know damn well what's going on. And so she asks her about Thrawn. And she's like, yeah, that could be a problem. So Mon Mothma at least trusts Hera. Which is why it was so frustrating that she didn't, stand up and say anything. But we do have eyewitnesses to the Purgles. There's Carson Teva over there, and there's that captain that brought Hera in. There's eyewitnesses. She really didn't say much of anything. It was very annoying, because I know Mon Mothma is not a doormat. Anyway, and what the hell was going on with the rest of the council? They were just sitting there like lumps. It's like, guys, you're part of this too. Why aren't you saying anything? But I guess they couldn't shut up Senator Dickhead. And he just keeps going on, like he refused to believe that the Imperial Remnant was a thing. It's like, is this going to be another Senator Palpatine situation that it's going to turn out he's the freaking Emperor? Not in this case. I doubt he's much of anything. If anything, he's just a low-level Imperial who's just simply a dickhead. I doubt it would be another Emperor Palpatine situation, but yeah, it gives you this impression that he's being such a dick and so over the top about it that you wonder if he's actually a mole. And now, granted, the New Republic has serious issues. They've shown it on last season of The Mandalorian. They've shown it on Andor. You know that the New Republic has issues. It's not like they need a mole to cause trouble. But I still wonder if he isn't a mole. So anyway, she gets let off because of that last second heroics from Leia, which makes me wonder if we're going to see her at any point. I mean, there's only one episode left, so maybe not this season, but it makes you wonder if they plan on having a Leia cameo. Obviously, not the original Leia because Carrie Fisher died years ago. So it would probably be a Luke Skywalker situation where even though Mark Hamill is still with us, they had a body double and they just had a de-aged Luke Skywalker's face. And just as an aside, I found out recently that they used Mark Hamill's voice. That Mark Hamill said he didn't record new lines for the young Luke Skywalker. So they used Mark Hamill's recorded voice. Now that's not the part that bothers me, but old Mark Hamill does not sound like young Mark Hamill. They have recordings of the young Mark Hamill. He sounds completely different than he does now because that's what happens when you age. Your voice changes. Even past puberty, your voice changes as you get older. So why not use young Mark Hamill's voice? Because to hear old Mark Hamill coming out of what should be a young Luke Skywalker's voice, it's just the weirdest thing imaginable. I mean, I can understand if they didn't have his recorded voice, but they do. So I just don't understand that one. But anyway. So I don't know if they're going to do a situation where they're just going to use a body double and just have a de-aged Carrie Fisher's face on the body, or they're just going to continually hint that Leia exists, but they're never going to show her. But anyway, so then we get back to Ahsoka and Huyang in the Purgle. And she is working out basically, and we see Anakin. Now this turns out to be an old message, and that she just keeps replaying. And I have to admit, I enjoyed that. I want you to continue training in these styles a lot, or at least more than I have. And I think they mentioned in Obi-Wan that, yeah, he was a bit of a slacker when it came to training. But anyway, that he just assumed that his skill would rue the day or something. Anyway, so Huyang comes up to her and says, I think the Purgles are getting to their destination. Oh, how do you know? Because they're slowing down. But I love it. My instruments indicate. Like, how else were you going to? Anyway. So they sat down, and Ahsoka makes fun of him and his statistics because she mentioned that, what are the odds of something? And he's like, they're astronomical. And she's just laughing at him. So you see orange light, and you're hearing explosions, and Huyang is like, something's wrong here. It's like, you think? So they managed to get out of the Purgle's mouth, which I guess, I don't know if she used the Force to ask for him to open his mouth, or he just sensed that they were against his teeth and opened his mouth. I have no idea how that worked. And you see this minefield. And these poor Purgles are just trying to, not die. So then they all shoot off into hyperspace to get away from the danger, which you can't blame them. Which then you're like, oh, well, there goes their ride. So she's trying to navigate this minefield, literal minefield, to get to the planet's surface, and they're like, well, at least we found the bad guys. So, and Thrawn did say he wanted to do this, so as she's navigating, trying to get through the minefield, and they land in the graveyard, Thrawn gets information as to who Ahsoka is. And he's like, her master was Anakin Skywalker? Okay, alrighty then. So, obviously he knows exactly who Anakin Skywalker is. Morgan Elsbeth has no clue, but he does. And, he mentions how, dangerous Anakin was, so he expects that she's also dangerous. And, Hu Yang was trying to get a readout on Sabine, and it's like, nope, not finding him. So Ahsoka finally does what I expected she was going to do in the first place, which was try to reach out. Now, I thought she was going to try to reach out to Ezra, because he's a strong Force user, unlike Sabine. So she reaches out to Sabine, and she senses something, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. So, and she was in the middle of telling Ezra what basically the plot of Star Wars and the original trilogy. And she doesn't want to tell him how she got there or talk about how they're going to get home. She doesn't talk about what happened to Ahsoka. It's like, how in the world how long do you expect this to last? You're going to have to tell him sometime. First off, as anybody who's followed my channel knows, I absolutely hate drama just for the sake of drama. It would be just as dramatic if she said, oh yeah, I kind of made a deal with the devil so they could bring me here so I could find you. Because at the time I just cared about finding you and I didn't really think about the getting home part. And that's just as dramatic, if not more so, than just refusing to tell him and just saying it's complicated. But I think he has a sense of, that this is a serious clusterfuck, because he even asked if it's her usual type of complicated. So maybe he has an idea. And she tells him that Ahsoka took her on as her apprentice, and Ezra's like, wait, what? Why? Why would she do that? Oh my god. Yeah, they totally have a sibling vibe. I love these two. So, off in the distance, they see Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll. And Ezra's like, friends of yours? Nope. Which is true, but, they're kind of the reason why she's here. So it's like, tell him something. Jesus Christ. So then you hear Baylan and Shin talking. And Shin is going to go with, I guess, the Nomads to fight Ezra and Sabine. And Baylan is going to go off on his own. He's still searching for this power that's calling to him. So Shin seems shocked and saddened and actually a bit mortified that she has to go off on her own, that he's basically, leaving her. And so she goes on ahead. Thrawn sends a couple of gun divisions to help her out. I don't know if he's aware that she has help and it's not Balin, because he does notice that Balin is nowhere to be found. So they fight these defenseless Noti, well, somewhat defenseless. They have sticks, they have rocks, they have I know what it's called, but my brain is just not thinking of the word. But so they're fun. And Sabine is like, seriously? This is the type of weapons they have? And Ezra's like, they're peaceful people. Peaceful I get, but defenseless? Which, yeah, I see your point, but they're not defenseless. Because they can hide in their shells and nobody can get to them, so they're safe. So Ezra is just telling some of them who want to help that no, go back in. I'll deal with it. So we see him fighting, and one of the cool things he did besides the martial arts, one of the really cool things was when Shin was about to what looked like decapitate Sabine, and he basically force dragged her to safety. And there was an instance where Shin tried to get him unawares from the back, and he was able to, oh my god, I cannot word today, that he was able to get out of the way. And he looked at his hair, like, looking down at it like she singed it. And all I could think of was Princess Vespa in Spaceballs. And if you haven't seen Spaceballs, or even if you have, in this scene, Lone Star gives her a gun as they're trying to get into their motorhome ship, because they locked the keys in the car. Because that's totally what you do when you're doing something like this. But anyway. And she's like, I'm not firing this. I hate guns. Until one of them shoots her hair. Then she gets super pissed and guns them all down. So I was expecting Ezra to say something like, my hair! You shot my hair! Something similar to that, but no. He just looks at his hair and is like, oops. So, yeah. Anyway. So Balin doesn't get very far, because I guess he sensed Ahsoka. And Ahsoka's like, I bet you didn't expect to see me. And he's like, I'm actually glad to see you. Because he doesn't want to kill her. Because she's a Jedi. And he doesn't hate Jedi. But, I don't know. His lightsaber looked more red than it did previously. Maybe because I didn't see him last episode, or wait, no, that was 2 episodes. I don't know, it just seemed redder than usual. But anyway. So, they fight. And he's like, you can't beat me. And she's like, I don't have to. And then we get Hu Yang coming in to distract Balin. So she's able to get away, so she's able to help Sabine and Ezra. And so he looks down and is like, oh, good, everyone's together. I hope I survive long enough to join them. Oh, God, this was a funny episode. And, like I said, I just love the note, that they would just pop out, grab a rock, hit people with it, knock them out. It's like, you're wearing armor. How in the world is a rock hurting you? I was expecting to see more of the of their weapons, not just throwing rocks and sticks, but anyway. Um so slingshot, that's the word I was looking for. Jesus Christ. Wording is hard. But anyway, so it looks like Shin Hati has them dead to rights because they're surrounded by stormtroopers. And it looks like that she has them dead to rights. And then Ahsoka comes and takes care of everything because it's Ahsoka. And then, she is trying to convince Shin that, just take us as your prisoners. And so yeah, like I said, Ahsoka comes and she tells Shin to drop her weapon and that they'll be good to her. Let us help you. And Shin just has this look when she notices everybody's running away from her, going back in their ship. You can see this momentary hesitation of like, what do I do now? My master's left me and now everybody else is, taken off. So then she rides off. Now, whether she rides off to join Thrawn, to get the hell out of Dodge, or whether she went to try to find Balin, we do not know. We just know that she rode off. And so the Noti are getting super excited. I'm not sure if it was a bad excited, but based on Ezra saying, these are friends, these are all my friends, apparently the Noti were a little concerned as to what the hell's going on. Can't say I blame them. And then Hu Yang is hovering in Ahsoka's ship above them. So I assume that this is going to be them saying goodbye, or the beginning of next episode, there's going to be a formal saying goodbye after they set up camp wherever. One thing I did like about the caravan was that baby constantly waving at Sabine. It was so cute. Let's see if I missed anything. Well, Thrawn was just, like, I think I mentioned this earlier, Thrawn was just using everybody as a distraction so they could finish loading up. And then, once they were finished, we can leave now, so let's call everyone back. So that's why I'm not sure which way Shin went. Because there's no reason for her to have known that this is happening. So I have no idea which way she went. So, as far as we know, all the Force users are stranded because, well, Balin probably wants to be stranded because he's still looking for this mysterious power that is going to help him rid our galaxy, or their galaxy, of the constant cycle of good guys win, then bad guys take over and kill a bunch of good guys, and then rinse and repeat. So he wants to stop that cycle. So it's possible he never intended to go back, which is probably for the best because Thrawn noticed that Balin wasn't around. So he was already suspicious of Balin, so it's possible that he wouldn't want to see Balin's face again anyway. Let's see here. What else is there that I missed? Oh, there's got to be something to the fact that when Ezra saw Shin, Sabine said that she's like you, but without the humor. That's got to be leading somewhere. I mean, why else would she say that? I've heard rumors that they're supposed to fall in love, that this is going to be their version of Luke and Mara Jane. But I kind of hope that doesn't happen because I kind of like this being able to watch a story and not have to have a love interest involved. It's nice to just have a nice story about a rebellion, or in this instance a fledgling a republic that you're trying to keep together by a thread without having romance involved. So I would be perfectly fine if they do it right. I'm not going to complain, but I kind of like not having to worry about that. So yeah, but yeah, they probably do have something, or maybe they just want to point out that the balance in the force, that Ezra's on the good side, so Shin would be a bit more on the bad side, even though she isn't a full Sith. So who knows? But anyway, I think I covered everything there is to in this episode, and I will see you in the next video.